Thank you, everybody, for being here at the conference. We have got Leah Morris and Tom Erb here from Viatran Printing. They're going to tell us all about merchandising. And I'm also thankful to say that they run our co-branded brewery merch program. Have any of you ordered from that yet before? Through the NYSBC? Awesome. So basically the NYSBA has a store where you can order shirt packages of like 30 shirts or more. We have like the NYSBA design on the front and then your brewery logo on the back. So Viatran has worked really hard with us to help grow that program and help get all the breweries across the state. Without further ado, I'll let you guys take the stage.
Yeah. One important thing to know about Tom and I is he likes getting up in front of a whole bunch of people and talking. I don't, but I'm here, so bear with me.
All right, we'll skip. Viatran has been around 30 years. We have two locations, one in Austin, Texas, and one in Webster. We have accumulated 30 years of data, which I'll get into later. Data meaning the people like yourself that buy shirts. We can help you out with size scale by manipulating that data. I'll get into that. I'm going to be talking a lot about things that you may agree or you may disagree with. And to be honest with you, I don't care. Okay? You're either going to walk out here liking me or not liking me. And again, I don't care. Okay? So the important, and the other thing is the stats that I'm going to tell you are going to be plus or minus, and I don't want to get into a lot of details about the statistics, but just understand that they're roughly about what we're talking about. So let's go on to, and we're going to crank through this thing. It's not going to be a lot of junk. Reasons you want to carry merchandise, what we're going to cover. Understanding why this helps sell beer. Understanding your customer, what items sell, fabrics, embellishment, price point, size scale. Inventory turns, displays, merchandising, and what items don't sell. I'm assuming people can hear it back there. We want to keep this informal. We would like you to ask questions at any time. She's going to interrupt me because she likes to interrupt me. And I want to keep this as informal as I can. Okay. Reasons for carrying merchandise. A lot of this is pretty obvious, but it's fun. Additional source of revenue, engaging with customers, establishing your brand, and free marketing. Some of this stuff, this is second in the series. We did something last year. It was about sustainability. I'm going to run through those points real quick so that you can understand and catch up to where we are. If we get to the end of this presentation and you have questions, we're in a booth upstairs, or come ask us questions. It's not a big deal. Like I said, we're going to crank through this pretty quick. How will garments help sell more beer? People want to belong. Okay, they want to belong. Army, Navy, and one of the things is they want to belong. They want to feel like they belong to your brewery. Okay, so there's a buy-in. Experience, long-lasting beer, you can read all this stuff. Marketing is about brand awareness. Okay, the marketing people will get your label right. They will get your advertising correct. They will get them to the brewery. But what we're going to talk about is how do you keep the people coming back? Okay, because the marketing people got them there, but there's something beyond that. There was a New York State Brewers Association marketing Zoom meeting, which was really interesting. In the Zoom meeting, I don't know if did anyone see it? You must have seen it.
Webinar.
It's about 2 hours ago, or 2 hours ago.
Marketing webinar.
About 2 weeks ago.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
By Works Design Group.
Yes, we're designed to put on this presentation. And the marketing aspect of it was really good. This is kind of the part that you're not going to like. When they got to the point of designing t-shirts, no. Sorry. T-shirts is not something the marketing people do well. Because what happens is the marketing people design stuff and then they come to us and we have to redesign it. So what I'm trying to say is that marketing people can get people to your brewery, but what we help do is keep the people coming back. And how we do that is by building an identity with the people that are in your place. that you understand who they are and why they're there. Does any of that make sense? Okay. Oh, you're with me. I saw some heads in there. Okay. There is a guy named Daniel Pink who wrote a book called When. It's really interesting. What he talked about is belongingness hypothesis. We need to belong. It's fundamental human motivation. Much the human being to do is in the service of belongingness. All right, and if you think about it, it's really kind of interesting because you really do this yourself. You want to be a part of something. You want to be on the baseball team. Baseball teams all wear the same uniform, whatever that might be. So when you're putting out a garment, and the garment represents the people that are coming there and yourself, people want to belong to a brewery, and that brings them back. It makes them feel at home. There's a person down in Austin, Texas that I deal with all the time. Her saying is, people will go where they're loved. You got to make your place loving. You got to understand what those people want. Let's talk about the Irish Mafia. Last night we were sitting at a table and they said, we're going to reintroduce the Monk Club. Good idea. That builds that association, that gets those people coming back. Now, a lot of people have a Monk Club and you're saying, yeah, so what? But what they're doing is rebuilding that brand, that identity. They're getting people back. They're getting them to continue coming back. Okay, this is where we're going to have some problems. I like 100% of the time I walk into a place and I show them a shirt, you know what they say? I like it. And my answer is, who cares? It's what the customer likes. Because people that we go to, they buy what they like. They don't buy what the customer likes. Some people are nodding their head, but as sure as I walk in your place, they're going to say, I like. All right? Over and over and over again. So we're going to talk about how do you find out what the customer wants? What are those items that you can put in there where you get that customer to come back? Because when you put a garment out there and it's not what they want, you're telling them don't come back here. They see what you have and they say, oh, well, obviously this is not the place for me. And I'm sure you walked into a restaurant or you walked into various places and looked at it and said, I don't belong here. Okay. Moving on. Apparel selection and design. When creating a beer label, you pay for that. You pay for that marketing. Anyone disagree? No, you all agree. But when you do a t-shirt, the customer ends up paying for that. And believe it or not, they don't want to advertise. There's a difference between an advertisement and a sense of belonging, and that's part of the designer. Does that make any sense? Most of the women are going to nod their head yes, because they understand it. Most of the men don't. All right, we'll get into that later too. When designing a garment, a customer pays for a logo. Okay, went through all that. Demographics. This is where people are going to argue with me. Women spend roughly 7% more than men at a brewery. Women are 3 times more likely to walk out with something. Women are 10 times more likely to buy something for someone else. Okay, here's the number that I get about all the time. 1/3 of the stuff that's being bought that walks out, that goes out, is bought by a male. 2/3 that goes out is bought by a female. Almost nothing of what a male buys is for someone else. 50% of what a female buys is for someone else. Okay, I got some smiles, I got some nodding of the head, some people understand. Some people are going to disagree with those numbers, but those are rough numbers. But the point I'm trying to make is, if you're designing a shirt for a brewery, if you understand what I said, 25% is what a male buys, but 37% is what a female buys for a male, which means you've got to design that shirt for that. Does that make any sense? Okay. Okay, I'll move on to this. These are demographics of 2022. These are national demographics. They may not be particular to your area, and they might change. And it's really not important that the numbers are exactly right. What's important is that you understand your numbers. That's what's important. And you need to put out a product, whether it's beer or garments or whatever else, that matches those demographics. Last year I said, there's a garment, 6210, which everyone loves. And the 6210 is a real nice soft garment, but it's a millennial garment. Well, you're addressing 34% of your market. That's because that's what that guy looks. He's a millennial. But you're not getting the other markets. Males 70%, females 30% of the demographics. Okay. If you only sell millennial males, I went through all this stuff. It's a small percentage potential. Right? Everyone get the point? Yes. Number 6.
Is this based on brewery statistics or overall garment purchasing
These,
statistics?
by the way, if you
Just out of curiosity.
no, that's okay. If you want to know that information, if anyone wants to know, it's on this website, which is on this page. If you go to Viatran's website, it is all information that I got out of beer marketing literature. It wasn't wine, it was beer. It wasn't restaurants. All right? But it's 22 information, and it's national, which means the numbers aren't going to be exactly match what you have. Does that make any sense? And some of the questions are, how do you get that information? Which we can talk about. But it's really not that hard. I'm going to give you an example. At this point, there was a guy, Len at Knucklehead. It's a brewery in Rochester. I said to him, you know what? You need flannels. He says, no, I don't. I hate flannels. I said, look at your bar. There was 12 seats at the bar. 6 of them had flannels on. He stopped hating flannels. He brought a ton of them, and the ton of them sold. And I got a number of stories like that. And I brought in a hockey jersey one time. He says, this is a hockey. What does this have to do with beer? He sold a ton of them because the people that play hockey happen to drink beer. It sold. All right? And what he did was he did a little bit of marketing. I came in, brought a garment. He walked around, asked some people, would you buy it? Would you buy it? Would you buy it? He said, yes. They sold well. You could do that. Any other questions? Am I really stupid or really smart? I mean, everyone's looking at me like. Okay. What do other markets want? What does a woman want for a male? We went over that. Why do people buy garments? Men see clothes as a necessity. Women see it as a way to express themselves.
Which is changing,
Which is
I
changing.
think, somewhat from
Yes.
how it used to be.
Again, this is out of literature. It's really interesting. And it's general. I mean, it's not 100%, but it's in general. Standard versus seasonal. One of the problems that we get, people love to see what's new. Oh, yeah. One of the problems that people have is they tend to overbuy. We can't get rid of it. Don't overbuy, underbuy. And the other thing is that people will come to your place when you have a new beer. But believe it or not, same thing true with garments. If you introduce new stuff, and there's so many demographics and so many different things you could do, you don't have to hit all your demographics at the same time. You could put in a garment that is for the millennials and then put one in for baby boomers and then change it up. Because people like to come in and see what's new. Does that make sense? This is part of the formula to get people to come back. They got something new. It's not stale. Does that make sense? You don't have to change your room out, repaint the walls all the time. You can just change out a couple shirts and people think you got something new. All right? Standard versus seasonal. Let's see, people are using situational awareness. Summer's coming up. You might want to think about it now.
This is also thinking, where are you located? Are you by a lake? It's colder by lakes. In the middle of the summer, people buy hoodies. even though it's hot, because they get cold as it gets night, becomes night. So be situationally aware. Where are you? You know, why are people coming to where you are? Are they coming to, I think our example on the next slide is, you know, are they coming to the Finger Lakes? Are they coming to Geneva? Are they coming to Seneca Lake? You know, what are you writing on your shirt? Are you writing a town name? Are you writing a region name? You know, where do people think they're going when they're coming to your place? And
I'm sure negative, you could talk to this.
Yeah, but it's your discussion.
Yeah, I know, but, you know, do you put Canandaigua?
Absolutely.
Do you put Finger Lakes? Do you put, you know, Canandaigua Lake? You know, and you don't have to make that decision. You can change things up and see which one sells the best, right? But people do come not to your brewery, but to your town or to that region as well. The other thing that's really interesting is that, you know, I'm sure he can speak to this, but people might come up to Pennsylvania once a year. So you could put in a garment that's going to last a year, but then people come to his place from Canandaigua, and they might come every week. So you want to get something that is going to be this logo shirt like he's got on, that's going to be something that's going to last for a year, but then you want these other things that, I don't know, he's got some great shirts, you know, get Nega Dove. Well, you run that for a little while, and then you run another one, all right? So you need to have that. And by the way, I'm not throwing you guys out. You know, you can come to us. We got designers. We got people that can work with you all the time.
so we went over most of this already.
Okay, let's get that slide. All right, now we're into
A little fashion show for you. So different demographics and different tastes.
Right.
What do boomers wear? Pigment dye, comfort color t-shirt, pigment dye hat.
That's real simple. But the funny thing is that when we show that, they'll say, "Oh, that's what my father wears." All right.
I'm a millennial, I have to wear my things, that's how it's fun. That's what a millennial wears.
Not backwards. But the point here is that, you know, if a lot of boomers come into your shop and this is what you have, they're not going to relate to it.
I know. He can pull it off.
Right?
Right.
There's two
And
guys.
then, hate to tell you, the 90s are back. The new things this year are bucket hats. Going back to this sporty thing that we all wear in the 90s.
You don't have to memorize all this. All right? You can just come with us and tell us, and we can help you pick out the garment. And by the way, when I say us, I mean all the guys that are upstairs. Legacy, I don't know if you guys know. Do you know who Legacy is? They're one of the best in the country in hats. These guys are freaking awesome. They're really, really good. There's all these people that are up there, but keep in mind that each one has a different specialty. Like we're local, so we can get garments to you in a hurry. There's other companies that, and Legacy's not going to be as quick as we are. Our minimums are smaller than they are. Anyways, the point I'm trying to make here is that if you want to get people to come back, understand who your demographics are and help us to help you design it. Elements of a winning design. Elements of a winning design. Aim to delight. Okay, here. When you design a t-shirt, resolve to create an ongoing emotional relationship between your customer and the design. This is from Knowing Fundamentals of Great T-Shirts. This is not from a beer. Over time, a great shirt can become a wardrobe staple, early loyalty and trust for the apparel and design. Next one is do your research. As you move forward from your t-shirt design, you'll need to research your competition, your customer, or other vendors. Look first around at other t-shirt designs. It doesn't take a rocket scientist, but hey, look, 90% of what you guys do is beer. Only 10% of what you do is this. What I'm here to tell you is don't waste a lot of time designing a t-shirt, we can help you do that, right? But what you need to do is I looked around and said, there's 12 guys sitting in my bar, and 6 of them are have a flannel on. Look up every once in a while. Next, consider your audience. About to get into that.
Understand your usable space, you know, there's lots of places to print on a t-shirt that isn't just the front of the t-shirt.
Yeah.
Women don't always want a giant sign on the front of their chest. They might want something else.
Right.
You know, consider color. I know you all like black. The first time we ever came to a brewers conference, it was a sea of black when I looked out at everything. It was very entertaining.
Right.
You know, keep creating, brand your garments, you know. Get out of your box and move around. I think you guys are probably better at this than some other markets. We work in the winery business too, and the amount of times I'm like, well, haven't you been around other wineries? And people go, no, I haven't gotten around. Well, you don't know what your neighbors are doing. See what your other folks are doing.
Just adding some color to the display will get people over to take a look at it. If that makes any sense. Develop self-character, wide array setting. Don't allow your vision to become attached to one way of looking at things. Look at nature, pay attention to others, seek out design inspirations in other corners of the world. Step outside your comfort zone. What it's trying to say is don't say I like. Go take a look at what's out there. Okay? Okay, how do people design? Anyone here? Yes. How do you design? Oh, are you a designer?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So,
That sounds
you want to take the microphone?
No. No, I don't want to take the microphone.
So how do you come up with ideas and concepts?
Based on some of our existing things that have worked.
Right.
And then also tying into some of the existing branding identity of the city itself.
Right. Do you understand what she's saying? People understand back there? Okay. So that's basically how we work. We steal from our own stuff, or we look on the internet, you know, but we need your help in saying, you know, my brewery looks like this, or whatever, and then design people. What's your name? Anne. You know, she would take that and then run with it, come up with some great ideas, right? That make sense? Anyone else? How do you come up with your designs? Anyone else? You almost raised your hand.
Well, I mean, I like to use our logo, but then I also like where to get apart and use the supplemental art in different places.
Right. Bam. Exactly. Exactly. We want to take elements from your logo and put them on the shirt, rather than just advertise on your logo, front chest, 18 inches big. All right? People really don't want that shirt. You might think they do, but they don't. Really what they want to do is belong. Like just exactly what you said. Take elements of that logo, right? Does that make sense? And then we want to get the flavor of your place, right? Like she was saying, your city, or maybe you got cows in the field or something. Bring that in.
One thing we don't want to do is design by committee.
Oh,
So I'm going to do a little poll real quick. Whose favorite color is red? Whose favorite color is green? Whose favorite color is blue? Congratulations, you just decided on a gray t-shirt.
because when you design by committee, you don't put out what people want. You put out the least likely thing that most people will not want. Does that make sense? And we get this all the time. We get it all the time. So the shirt doesn't sell because it's not what people like. What I suggest you do is get a committee together and say, oh, hey, you're 34. You take that ad group. You come up with the design. Oh, you're 60. You come up with that design. Female. You come up with something to put on a tank top. And then let them get creative about their own area. Because the other people won't like it because it's not in their generation or it's not in their gender. Right? That's the best way to do this. Break it apart. And then you can take it and send it to Anne and she'll come up with something that says, hey, this is really cool. Does that make sense? That's the best way to do it. Because designing by committee, the guy that holds the purse is the one that makes the decision, Everyone looks at him to make sure that he's happy with it. Right, Dave?
So, let's see, the last thing is watch the trends. The example is hoodies versus crews. Over the last few years, crews were a thing of the 80s and 90s, and they went away for a long time. Hoodies were real popular, and we've seen crews come back pretty strong in terms of what people want.
Can I tell a story about Negative?
Sure.
You gotta be careful. When we first started doing business with these guys, they had some really great ideas. I think I brought this up in the first, they had some really great ideas. And we were pushing out t-shirts like crazy. And then things seemed to slow down. Am I right? And then what happened was they came up with, whatever we did, we had to come up with the Negative logo, right? Then they did a beer called Rolling in the Hay. And I'm not sure where this came from, but there was a dove that he's got on his front chest. And the dove was down in, and then hay's flying out, right? And I think you could speak to this better, but you probably sold more of that one shirt in a month than you sold all the others in a year. Well,
No, not that much.
okay, good. Come on up. Come on. Anyways, it sold like crazy. It sold really well. But the point is that they made a change. It was interesting. You got people back enrolled, back involved in what they were doing. I thought it was a stroke of genius. You guys did a great job. It went back, tied back to the beer. It helped sell beer. I mean, that's the perfect story of how you get customers back. Sorry if I embarrassed you, but
No.
it was great.
Sure.
We got to move along because we're so slow.
Quickly on this is something we've gotten from working with hockey teams and in that sport industry is, the first few years of having a new team, we put the proto logo out, the basic logo over and over and over, then everyone has that. We'll do a secondary logo. After that, people have that stuff, and keeping that on is fine, but start playing with things, make things fun. People are going to want new things. You can always keep your standard logo team, but try to do some other things as well. Okay, so this is getting a little more technical. So, fabrics. So, there's cotton. There's 18 types of cotton. I'm not going to go through all of them. It's basically the different ways that it's woven or knit or processed that makes the different ways cotton feels. Polyester is either polyester, word I cannot pronounce, so I'm not going to attempt it, or recycled. And then blends, which obviously there can be lots of different blends. A lot of them are up there. And then basically the big question is, how does this affect perceived quality? My least favorite question from customers: what is a good polo? I don't know. Do you go golfing and you need a Nike polyester polo? Do you want a Pima cotton polo? What do you think is a good polo? I don't know. But people perceive the quality of that polo differently. The other thing we often get is, I want a tri-blend shirt. Okay. Do you know what tri-blend is? They don't know what tri-blend is. They know that tri-blend is soft. They want a soft shirt. It doesn't have to be tri-blend. There are cotton shirts that are soft. There are cotton poly blends that are soft. And there's tri-blend that's soft. So it doesn't have to be that way. Also affecting perceived quality is matching the shirt to the design. If you get a really lightweight shirt and you put a whole lot of ink on it, it's not really a nice shirt anymore. If you get a really lightweight shirt, discharge that shirt, which we can get into in the next slide, or put a one color logo on that shirt so that it's still light and airy when you're done printing it, and then the perceived quality maintains. Okay, another question we get asked a lot is, does cotton shrink? All cotton shrinks. All cotton is mechanically shrunk before it's made into garments. That's basically just taking a weave that's been pulled apart when it was woven and pushing it back together so it's the right shape. That would happen the first time you wash it anyways, but they do it before that, so it won't happen in the wash. After that, it will continue to shrink. The lint in your dryer is the cotton coming out of your garments. So that's how much comes out every time. Okay, there's different kinds of embellishment. Screen printing. I think you guys are pretty familiar here all with screen printing. Tom has some samples of things, and we have tons of samples upstairs as well if you want to come see these different things. So there's screen printing, embroidery, sublimation. Does anyone here know what sublimation is? So it's a full color print on polyester, basically, and it transfers dye to the polyester fibers, so there's no ink on that shirt. It's just dye to the fibers. Direct to film is basically printing a logo on some vinyl material and then pressing that onto a garment. It's good for small runs and only certain garments. Direct to garment is like inkjet printing on a t-shirt. It also can be done in very, very low quantities. Heat transfer is vinyl or foil, patches. I'm sure you're all familiar with patches. And sequins or beads. And then how do the different techniques affect price? Screen printing, each screen approximately costs, and these are obviously our numbers and things, so they may cost different for different people. But in our shop, one screen costs about $50. So, if you want a one color shirt, one color shirt, it's the shirt cost of the shirt plus about $50. If you want two, now your shirts are $25 plus the cost of the shirt. So, obviously that's why you need higher quantities with screen printing to get the price down. Things like embroidery, there is, at least for us, we don't, the price does not change with quantity. And so there is a digitizing charge to get your logo into stitches, and then after that, we can do as few as, we'd like to say 12, just so we're, but we can do less than that if necessary. Direct to garment is expensive because it's priced per square inch, but it is nice for smaller runs, but it's not something we recommend for large runs. Also, depending on what kind of shirt you put it on, has a different effect on how it shows up.
Direct to garment is water-based ink, so it's very soft. But when you do high colors, low volume, like say for instance you're introducing a new beer and you only want 12 shirts, it's the best way to go. All right.
How does embellishment affect perceived quality? Again, this comes back to matching. Everyone thinks embroidery is a higher perceived value. An embroidered t-shirt isn't necessarily a higher value item. Sometimes, but not always. Minimum order size, again, our standards, screen printing, 36 pieces is reasonable usually. Any of the other types of things we can do for as few as 12. Size scale. So, poll your staff when you're considering size scale, both because it kind of gives you an idea of what you might want to get, but it also gives you an idea of how many extras of certain sizes to get. Sometimes we have issues where someone will buy smalls or extra smalls in a run, their first run of a new garment. All the smalls and extra smalls go away. They go, oh my God, we need more smalls and extra smalls. And then they're stuck with them for a very long time. And then we look at them and we go, you have a very small crew running in your bar, don't you? So if someone's gonna take all the 2Xs or all the extra smalls, buy more of those things if your staff is the one buying the shirts. Size scale depends on the style of garment. Tank tops versus hoodies are gonna have different size scales. Are you only buying a unisex shirt? The size scale for that shirt will be different than if you're buying a unisex shirt and a female shirt. So we adjust that. That's all data we also have and we can help with. These are size scales we came up with over 10, 20, 30 years of data of all the garments, all the t-shirts that we sold and sweatshirts that we sold. So they're not as curvy as they probably are now. One thing of note is that we're all getting bigger. 4X didn't used to be on the list for men, and it is now.
Just in case you don't know what we're saying here. This is small, medium, large, extra large, 2X, 3X. All right? And You don't have to worry about those numbers, you don't have to copy them down, but it's just basic information. What we're trying to do is comparisons between men and women in tees and sweats, all right? But a lot of retail stores, they'll just say, oh, give me for a dozen, give me 2 small for me, 4 large for extra large, or whatever. The point that we found is that your staff tends to bias those numbers. Okay.
The important thing part about this is how does size scale connect to belongingness? If you can have even one 3X shirt in your brewery, you're gonna make one guest really happy that can't find a 3X shirt in lots of places. Alternatively, lots of people only buy small through extra large in women's. If we ask them why, they go, well, no one ever asks me for a 2X. No woman is ever gonna come up to you and tell you you don't have a big enough shirt for her. So take those into consideration. You're telling that woman that she doesn't belong in your brewery. Okay, merch array.
So
So
when we talk about,
we're getting really short on time.
sorry, tank tops. Tank tops are really interesting.
Size scale would be like 2 small, 4 large.
No, it's like, it's way different than what you saw here. Tank tops are really skewed to the small size. So there's a lot of garment styles that we didn't talk about.
So all of these numbers don't add up to 100%. I know that. This is just, if you're doing women's and men's, 33% should be women's, 67% should be men or unisex. If you're doing hats, they should be about 10% of your total merch. If you're doing youth, infant, and toddler, about 10% of your total merch. If you're doing other stuff, pet stuff, mugs, cups, stickers, trays, again, 10% of total merch. Youth, infant, toddler, and pet stuff and such are impulse buys. They don't tend to move as quickly as other things sometimes, but people do like them. Okay, the do's and don'ts of displaying. Don't put garments up on the wall and expect sales. They look like art. People can't touch them. People don't want to interrupt busy bartenders to go find a shirt so they can look at it. Put it in a place where people can find the garment and touch them. Do let people know the price without having to ask. Female garment sizing is a mess. Allow them to check out the garment. Next level versus an LAT or a district shirt. The sizing is just totally wacky. Basically, the more exposure and less barriers, then the higher likelihood of a sale. Take those barriers down. Make a sale easy. Have people touch things. I know people are concerned with theft if stuff is out. We have some solutions for that. If you come up to the booth and talk to us, we have some ideas that some of our customers have used to take care of that. That is an example of what not to do. This is an example of what works really well. Behind these shirts, there's cubbies with all of the other sizes and extra shirts in them. And since this picture was taken, they've also added lanyards around the first shirt that tells you what the price is. Price points. How do people price things? Question for the group. How do you price a garment? So you keystone. You double it, right? Okay. So many breweries double the price. It's good to have different price points, obviously, because your cost is different. That's going to happen somewhat naturally. But you don't need to, if you get a shirt for $7.50, you don't need to sell it at $15. You could sell all your t-shirts at $20. And even the ones you get for $8 and the ones you get for $12, just sell them for $20. You're getting a little bit less, but you're confusing the customer less. Don't double higher cost items. You're still making a good, making a good amount of money on a higher cost item. So don't necessarily double that. Climbing Vines in the past sold a ton of merch because she had high quality stuff and didn't mark it up. She didn't keystone everything. And merch is advertising. Okay. Inventory turns. Are you buying for a year or a season? This kind of has to do with, how often you get return customers. Do you have people come yearly on their vacation to your brewery? Do you have people locally that are there every week? So you're gonna have different turns based on what you're doing there. It also tells you how often do you need something new. So you could turn through one design and introduce another design so that when that person comes back a month later, there's something new to look at. And then your turns won't be the same on every item. High dollar items obviously aren't going to move as fast as cheaper items. But just because everything doesn't have a good turn doesn't mean that it's not a good item to have in your shop. Okay, this is more stuff from the talk we did last year. And we'll go through it quickly and then have time for questions. But there's more strategies to sell brewery swag. Have your staff suggest merch, have your staff rep your brand, do limited edition shirts. So have your staff suggest merchandise. The big part about this is that on average, staff only asks 19% of the time if someone would like to buy some merch. When people aren't asked, sales of merch is 9%. When they're asked, sales are 49% higher. So have your folks ask if someone would like to add a shirt to their beer purchase for the day. There's over the top of this, Kim at Naked Dove sold a ton of silicone silly pints because she loved them and she talked about them all the time to everyone. So she sold a ton of them, yes.
Just to amend that, we do an off-premise event every summer on Fridays, just pouring pints around a music festival close by. And I poured 2 or 3 times. We sold the silicone cups, and literally the 2 seconds it takes to ask if you want to upcharge, we have probably an 80% positive rate. Like all you have to do is open your mouth. So all of these numbers are spot on. Like just asking, you're going to get a ton more sales.
Yes. And again, if you're busy, people don't want to ask you for another thing. If you offer it, they'll take you up on it. But you look busy.
It ties back to selling more beer, though. 'Cause now they belong.
Right.
You've made them part of your team, part of your.
And I think when it's busy, it's easy to say, I'm not going to ask. Like when you've got a line of 50 people, but the question is, do you not ask any of those 50 people, or do you ask every one of them and sell 25
Right.
of those? So.
Have your staff rep your brand. I know some people like their staff in different uniforms or outfits than what they're selling. The easiest way to sell your swag is to have your people wearing it. Because people walk up to someone and say, hey, I really like that shirt. Or maybe someone's wearing a shirt from 2 or 3 years ago and somebody goes, I really want to get one of those shirts. Maybe it's time to bring back that design. It's really important to have your staff do that. It opens up conversations about the merch and it gives credibility to the product. The staff knows how it fits, how it washes, they can talk about it. You can also do limited edition shirts. Sometimes when you have a big event, you can either pre-sell or have a small amount of extra shirts, and that can increase sales. This is one thing we can do with the direct-to-garment printer. We can print small quantities of things for it. Yeah. Okay, what does not work? Same design on a gazillion colors. You're not going to sell one more shirt by having the same design in 6 colors instead of 2. If someone walks into your brewery with 50...
If you want another color, discontinue that one and bring in another one later. Does that make sense? But when you have 6 colors up there, because some people like good and red, we saw it. Some people like blue, some people like green. If you pull them all out at the same time, they're going to walk away with a $50 bill. They're not going to buy another shirt. Put that money into a hoodie or something else where they might buy that or they might buy that. Next time you reorder, don't buy green, get blue. Does that make sense? That's what gets people to go to the booth and take a look at what you have, because you made a change. Even though it's a color, you made a change. All right?
It also, having the same thing in lots of colors increases the likelihood that someone might leave without anything. Someone who might have been perfectly happy leaving with a large blue shirt isn't going to leave with that blue shirt. If you have green too, and they really wanted a green one, and you don't have a large in green, then they'll go, oh, I guess I won't get one. You don't have my size and my color. So, keeping that smaller is better. Not getting a full size scale, we went over this already. Make sure you have sizes. Be inclusive in your size scale, even if it's just a couple. Buying what you like and not what the customer likes. No one wants a polo with your logo on it. I know that's not really true. Some people want a polo with your logo on it, but not everybody.
Well, the point that we get is people come to us and say, this is what I want, and then they come back the next year and say, our shirts don't sell. Did you ask us? No. Okay.
Putting in stock only one demographic. So only getting men's tees instead of men's and ladies' tees. One thing we can help with is if you come into the booth, our pricing is based on number of pieces. We don't care what you're putting it on. So if you want 24 women's and 48 men's shirts and all with the same logo on it, it's going to cost you the 72-piece price, whether you got all men or some men and some women's shirts. So you can afford to get some things for other demographics. Repeating the same design year after year after year. So once you get through the first few years, having the proto logo, the logo on the side of a football helmet, that basic logo that everyone knows, having those shirts available is fine, but add to that and expand things and change them out. This is conclusions. You can go ahead, tell them.
I can go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that means. You need to know, what's not up there is you really need to know two things. You need to know your product, whatever it is, and you need to know your customer. If you don't have a customer, you can't sell the product. You need to know your product. So you know beer. But what we're saying to you, spend that time to go see what the customer wants and then buy that back. Deal with someone you can talk to.
Upstairs,
Are a bunch of people that want to help your business, and they're good people. What I'm going to say is whatever you do, don't buy a t-shirt online, because you're going to get a lousy design, you're going to get a lousy shirt, and you're going to get a great price. But you're going to take that shirt and it's not going to sell, because any customer that comes in and touches it or feels it or looks at it, not going to be happy with it, and so that cheap shirt's just going to sit there. And we see that all the time. Yes, our shirt's a little bit more expensive, but you're going to get a better shirt because everyone touches our shirt before they see it. Oh my God, I love that shirt. Okay, so I want to mention that Legacy is up there. There's a number of other people that are up there that do things in different ways. Although there's a lot of people that print on shirts, some people do stuff that is more logo design, promotional type items that you might give away. Look at them and see what they bring to the table. But everyone has a little different way. I want to talk about Pickney Designs, who is a booth across from us that I had a great conversation with. These guys design spaces for you, but they consider the customer, the people, the demographic you're going after. It's important for them. It's important for you to come with information so that they know how to design that. It's the same thing with the t-shirt. Take a little time to talk to your staff and your customers. Do a little bit of test marketing. Customers love to tell you what they like and how they feel. That enrolls them into your organization. They feel belonging if you sit there and say, do you like this? Do you like this? Cost is not as big a deal as it used to be in the past. Make it easy for people to purchase when they come in. It all makes sense. Make them feel welcome. All right? I think that pretty much wraps everything up, and we're right on time.
Do we have any questions quickly? No? Yes?
Any questions?
So this is a tough one, but unbiased to obviously the manufacturer of said garment, is there a true to size fitment guide for different materials? I know it's kind of vague, but I'm 6'4", 230 pounds. I can wear a large or, 2XL, so I understand it's more of an issue for women as well, being size-wise, but, I'm wearing an extra large flannel with a 2X shirt underneath, and my
So I
Just
think,
size guide based on ground too, I don't know if there's
are you asking, is there a standard size?
is there a standard fitment guide for true to size?
No.
Based on material?
No.
No, but there are, I mean, there's always specs for any shirt that we can send out. There are ones from our experience that we know more that are true to size, more that are less, some that are less true to size. Chloe?
Just to add to that, that's like the total pro of working with one of our allied members who do merchandise, because you can ask them. They're the ones that know versus going online to order something. You don't really know if it's true to size or not, but if you talk to the experts, they should be able to help you.
Does that make any
That's why we
sense?
do most of our merch to you guys.
Yeah. In other words, there is no standards. You can go to a catalog, go on the website and see, and they give you measurements in inches. And I'll tell you what, we're doing a team in Canandaigua that maybe have 200 men and 300 women, and the size scale is it's a mess. Because the uniforms used to be like this, but they go to Dick's Sporting Goods and the uniform is like that. We're bringing in something like this and the pants don't match, and they don't look at the size scale, and it's an absolute mess.
Sizing is not really very friendly.
I figured everything was a very good question, but.
But no, we deal with a lot of different brands, and we know which ones fit better and which ones are truer to size. So we can help with that.
Does that make sense?
It does, yeah.
Yeah. Anyone else?
When you say like the under order, how
Yeah.
do you balance that with getting discounts on higher orders?
Well, in some cases, it depends on how you're decorating, but in our case, one thing that we'll do is if you, if you know you're going to need a certain amount of something for a season, you don't want to take it all at the same time, we will have you book it now and say, I want 36 of these in May and 36 of these in August. And we'll just hold the inventory. We don't charge you until we ship the second batch.
Does that make
That's
sense?
just-
Do you understand what she said?
We have a lot of square footage at our place, so we throw it in stock and keep it there and then ship it out.
So as long as you commit to that for the period of a year, we'll hold your stock.
But
We'll charge you the 144 price, but only deliver 24.36.
they're printed all at the same time, so you can't adjust size scale at that point. But if you have a pretty good idea of your size scale, we can definitely.
But there's many different ways. For example, sublimation, what we do is we take, sublimation is a process where the sheets come out basically on a film material, and we take that and we put it on the garment. And we can run off 144 sheets, but only deliver 24 shirts. That's not a big deal. There's a lot of ways that we can do this, okay? Every fabric and every way of embellishment is different. My point is don't think that everything you're going to do is screen printing. You have to do 144 shirts. Come and tell us. And if you're going to do like Don's got a Nega Dub shirt on, that's going to sell. It's going to sell now until eternity, But if you want to try something new, you want to run a small run and see if it's going to sell well. And we can help you with that. That makes sense? It's not all, you can go to the grocery store and if you get a case of ketchup, it's going to be cheaper or something else. We can work with you on that. Any other questions? No, that's it? Okay, well, thanks for coming.